everybody, this is Laura, City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel today. Today I have a layout that I created for A Punched Out Thursday to Die For and the best of Christie's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches, Day 9. Today's sketch was created by Susanna Lee, and I have used some dies to punch out a number of circles to go along with the sketch. I used a paper pad from Craftsmith called Garden Party. It's one of the pads that I got at Michael's. And I cut out a number of circles in different sizes. I also cut out my photos using some circle dies. You'll see those in a moment. I cut out some white cardstock, the same size as my photos, and also to the right you could see more circles that are the same sizes as those pattern paper circles that I inked earlier. For the photos, I'm stacking up 3 of the cardstock circles, and then I am going to attach my photos on top of that stack of cardboard circles. I used my phone to take a picture of the date because I didn't want to accidentally attach it down without noting what the date was. So the quickest way was to take a photo of the date with my camera, and then later on I went back and I recorded the date on the layout. I inked the edges of the pattern papers and the white cardstock using mainly Distress Oxide in Victorian Velvet, but I also use a little bit of Twisted Citron, which is kind of a lime green color. That's one of the colors that I work with on this layout. For the pattern paper circles, I'm just putting one piece of cardstock behind them. I want them to have a little bit of dimension, but not as much dimension as the photos. And you could definitely save time by inking the pattern paper and the cardstock at the same time once they're attached. I like to do it separately. I just think that the coverage is a little bit better when it's done separately. I'm going to have a mixed media background. I'm using a piece of white cardstock that has already been gessoed with some white gesso, and I am applying some Tattered Angels Glimmer Mists. I'm using 2 different colors, Spring Sun and Sunkissed. One is a little lighter, brighter yellow, and the other one is a little bit of a deeper yellow. And I like the combination of both of these yellows on the background. So I put on several layers of the color, and I'm including a little bit of me drying the background. I do like to regularly dry the background because that way the layers of color will build on top of each other, and I like that richness of color that creates. You could see that I'm just putting the sprays around the outside of the layout. I'm just putting the color behind where the photos and the pattern paper are going to be. I'm not putting them in the center where the journaling is going to be. I add some splatters of both of the colors of yellow, and I also am going to add some droplets of water and roll the paper towel over it to pick up the water and make some cool effects on the background. This is a very subtle background. The yellow looks very prominent now, but once all of the pattern papers are on top of this background, it looks much more subtle. I know that it's a concern of some people that if they make a mixed media background and then they put a lot of things on top of it, a lot of their hard work will get covered up. And it's true that when there's a mixed media background, a lot of it does get covered up. But I personally think that the areas that do shine through or that are visible really add so much to the layout. I love all kinds of layouts, but I think my favorite types of backgrounds are usually mixed media backgrounds. But I think that everybody has to do what makes them happy. There's so much joy in the creation process with scrapbooking. So whatever makes you happy is what you should do. Now, unfortunately, I did some stamping on the background and that footage came out very blurry. I find that really upsetting when that happens, but I could tell you that I used some Staz On ink in jet black, and then I used 2 stamps. One I got from one of my Creative Scrapbook kits. It's a Finnabair clear stamp called Gothic Book, and I also used some Studio G stamps. Those are the circular stamps that you see, and I did a lot of stamping before re-inking the stamp, and that way there would be stamps that would be lighter and then other images would be a little bit darker. And here you can see that I'm adding a couple of little touches with that Finnabair clear stamp. So now I'm going to be attaching my photos down to the layout. I'm using some ATG adhesive and I am following the sketch and deciding where I'm going to place them. These are photos of both of my daughters from 2015, quite a few years ago now. I got these from an album of my younger daughter that I'm trying to get scrapbooked. I have a whole bunch of albums that are half completed, and so I am trying very hard to get this album done. I still have a lot left to do, but I've definitely made a dent in it at this point. And I had already cut out these photos for another layout, and I ended up doing something totally different for that layout, and I thought it was very lucky that they were cut in circles and I needed some circular photos for this sketch. So you can see that I am adding the pattern paper circles. I started with the largest ones and then I'm working my way down to the smallest ones. I had cut out some large pink circles, but I felt that they were just a little bit too large. And since I think that my photos are a little bit larger than the photo circles in the sketch, that I should stick to slightly smaller circles. So that's okay. I got rid of those and I'm using these smaller circles and I am following the sketch pretty closely. I don't have all of the exact same sizes, but I am using the sketch to decide where to place all of these circles. I was considering punching out a few more pattern paper circles, but then I thought that I have enough paper on the page and I thought that I could add some other circular embellishments, and I will do that in a little bit. So I have all of the circles attached down to the layout, and then I use my trimmer and I trim off all of the excess paper that was hanging over the side of the layout. I'm going to start working on my title. My title is going to be Sweet Sisters, and I'm using some basic gray stickers in pink, and I also use some Felicity Jane letters in black. Using the ruler, I'm centering the letters on the page and I'm also making sure that they're straight. I do straighten up the letters off camera a little bit. It takes me a while and that's definitely not something that anybody would want to watch, but I do spend some time making sure that they look straight. And then I added the black letters underneath. I feel that they're pretty much the same font, so I thought that the difference in size and color would be interesting, but would also make them a nice combination. I work on the journaling in a little bit, but first I'm adding some stickers to the layout. I add some of the French macaron stickers. Those are Jolee stickers and also Recollection stickers, and the colors matched perfectly. And then I added some Queen and Company dots to the layout, and they are a pink and white stripe, and I really like those. I don't have too many layouts that I think that they go well with, so I was really happy to use them on this layout. I think that they're a good match for the pattern papers and for the subject. And then I picked out some other enamel dots. First, I add some small solid pink enamel dots. Then I found some blue dots that I thought were a good match for the pattern papers on the layout, and I had them in 3 different sizes, so I scattered those around the layout. And then I thought that it would look nice to have some touches of green, so I have some lime green and I scattered some larger sized green dots around the layout as well. And I like the addition of the dots. I think that they added a lot of color and another texture to the background. For enamel dots and other embellishments, I draw imaginary lines in my head going up and down and across the layout, and I don't like to have too many of the same embellishment on the same line. And so I moved a couple of the dots around so that they would be in different spots on the layout. I hope that that makes sense. I added some pencil lines for my journaling. I'll do that in a little bit. I added a sticker of a rolling pin and also some measuring spoons to the layout. Those are Martha Stewart stickers. And now I'm adding just a little bit more stamping using that Finnabair clear stamp. And I did get a little bit of the Staz On ink on one of the macarons, but I was able to get all the ink off using an eraser. I was a little surprised that it came off. I'm using these Heidi Swapp hearts. They're very tiny, but I thought that they would look cute on top of the title. And now I'm adding back in a couple of those circles that I cut off with my trimmer earlier. So I thought that I could use those in a few spots in the layout. So I tucked them in. And then because I added those half circles, I had to move some of the enamel dots around a little bit. And now I'm going to start working on my journaling. I used the lines that I drew and I wrote out what I wanted to have on the page in pencil. And now I'm using a thin black marker and I'm tracing over the pencil with the marker. I am going to wait a while before I try to erase the pencil lines because in the past I haven't waited long enough and then I've smeared the marker. To balance out the rolling pin, I added 2 spoons. They're the same color and they have the same vibe, so I thought that those would be a good addition to the layout. And then I was thinking I wanted to add something sparkly to the layout, so I'm adding these very, very tiny self-adhesive jewels, and these are something that I bought in a dollar store, and I like them a lot. They add a little bit of shine and sparkle, but they're not too heavy on the layout. And I erased all of the pencil lines on the journaling, and now the layout is complete, and here are the close-ups. So please check out all of the wonderful scrapbookers who are a part of A Punched Out Thursday to Die For. We have Kathy F., we have Scrappy Kathy, we have Dorothy, Sonia, and Ronnie Sue. The links to their channels are in the description box as always, and there's also a playlist of all of the videos of the best of Christy's Beautiful Life, 30 Days of Sketches. I hope everybody will check those out. Have a fantastic day. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.